Hi YouTube, my name is Yusuf and I am making my second tutorial for absolute beginners. In this tutorial we will take a look at edit mode and make this beautiful house over here. Okay, let's start a new file. I'm going to show you the basic functions of edit mode, the absolute basics. But don't worry if you think that it is not enough. Do realize this is a tutorial for absolute beginners, and I will show you step by step. So as we move along, we will make other things and explore new functions. But this time we will just learn what we need for that house. So let's start with a little bit of explanation of edit mode. Edit mode allows you to edit your object as opposed to just moving, rotating, or scaling in object mode. And in edit mode, you can either choose a face, an edge individually, or a vertex, or select multiple vertices. Let me just show you quickly by going to the functions that you will most likely use, which is extrude, inset, bevel, and use a loop cut. A loop cut allows you to create new edges or faces. For example, if I add a loop cut in the middle, it automatically creates new edges that can be selected, new faces that can be selected individually, and of course new vertices, which can also be selected individually. Why is this important? First of all, let's go back without the loop cut. I'm going to go back by pressing Ctrl Z. And in this object, if I extrude it, for example, if I select a face and I press the E from extrude, it extrudes it along the entire face. But as I've shown you, the loop cut allows you to select multiple faces. So if I go back and I add one loop cut, I can now all of a sudden select a face and extrude it. And keep in mind, you can extrude a face in all three different axes. You can do it on the X, the Z, and the Y axis. And this is important because this is the Z axis. You're going to use that a lot. And sometimes you might think of something to be difficult when in reality it's much more easier than you think. For example, I can select a face and go to the grab tool, and simply by moving a face I can create different shapes. Same can be said about edges and vertices individually. As you can see, I can select whichever edge I want and move it in different directions. I can also rotate a face. And you know what? Let's just press A and delete everything. Let's add a cube. And let's extrude a face. Like this. Now, if I change the view, I can, for example, press rotate, then extrude, then rotate again, then extrude, then again rotate, like this. Let me zoom that out, press extrude. I can change the alignment, press rotate, press extrude again, press rotate, extrude it again, rotate it until it is like this, and I can extrude it all the way down. And this will create a new shape. So you can actually combine the extrude function and even inset or bevel and apply the basic functions on it. And you can do this either a vertex by selecting a vertex individually, an edge, or a face. Okay, let's just select this by pressing A, then X to delete. And you know what, let's just start a new file with a cube. Let's go to edit mode, and I will show you how to insert, how to use this. So I'm going to select a face over here and press the I on the keyboard, or you can also simply press the inset key. So you have the extrude and underneath it inset faces. And this is applicable on a face, and it basically insets a face. Why is this important? Well, you can, for example, move it afterwards to create a specific shape. You can scale it to adjust the size of this new created shape. You can, for example, extrude it, and then again, for example, scale it. I can also rotate it. Then I can extrude. So you see, you can do a lot of things with the inset key. But typically, you're going to use this alongside the extrude tool. And I will show this in a moment when we make the simple house that I showed you in the beginning. So the only thing left to explore is Bevel. And Bevel is also a very handy tool. Let's just create a cube and select the face again. So I'm going to press the B from Bevel, Control B, and bevel this face. And I'm going to, when you look on the left bottom side, you can actually see the scroll down menu. When you click on it, you have this menu, and here we can, let's just put it on selection mode, change, for example, the size. Hold the left mouse button and change the size of your bevel. You can change how many segments to change the smoothness of it. And the shape. Shape is also important because you can do it inwardly or outwardly. Let's just create this kind of bevel, and as you can see, I created a bevel on this face. You can of course bevel the edges individually. You go to edge, for example, and I'm pressing yes, it was Control B, the bevel, and I can change again how many segments, whether I want lots or less, determines the smoothness of the bevel. So we can also change its shape, and let's just take an inward shape. And as you can see, I created a bevel, but only on one edge. So depending on what you're making, you can select the face, you can select the edge, or even one single vertex. To do this, you go to the vertex icon and you select one point you want to bevel. But I do believe you have to press Ctrl-Shift-B or it doesn't bevel. Yes, when you press Ctrl-Shift-B, it's the exact same thing, but only it does this on that one point, on the side of that one point, one vertex that you have selected. Again, you can select the size of the bevel, whether you want it big or small. Let's just create it the same size as the other bevel, so you see the difference. Let's put it on 10 segments again. And yes, let's take a look at the result. I'm going to object mode to show you. So this is an edge that has been beveled. This is a face that has an entire face that has been beveled. And this is one single vertex for one single point that has been beveled. But do keep in mind, when you bevel a single point, you have to press Ctrl-Shift and then bevel. So we know how to bevel, we know how to extrude, and we know how to put an inset in a face, and also how to use loop cuts. At least the basic knowledge. Let's go back to edit mode, press A, then X to delete. And now let's just make that house. So I'm going back to object mode. You know what? Just press File, General, New, don't save. We have a new file, and now we're going to make that house, and it's actually not so difficult. I'm going to edit mode, and the first thing we do is we add a loop cut, a vertical loop cut. Press on the left mouse, then selection. We have that loop cut. What I'm going to do is select edge. I'm going to select the top edge, and I'm simply going to move that top edge along the z-axis. This creates kind of the roof of this house. I'm going back to object mode by pressing the tab key. Now I'm going to scale it, I believe, on the y-axis, make it a little bit wider and maybe a little bit bigger. Yes, let's move that upwards to give it at least the desired shape. You know what, it's maybe a little too big. Let's just scale it back on the y-axis. Yes, and just a little bit maybe on the x too. Yeah, I think this is okay. I did it, maybe I overdid it on the y-axis. Okay, this is perfect. Let's go to edit mode again. Or actually, let's go back into object mode and let's add a cube. Now we're going to make the chimney. And to make the chimney, I'm going to scale it by pressing Shift Z, first S, then Shift Z. And I'm going to scale it both on the X and Y axis when I do that. When you press Shift Z, it scales on both axes except the Z axis. Let's put that chimney where it belongs. Let's just choose the right angle. Let's move it over here. Let's go back on the X. Okay. Then I'm going to scale it, make it a little bit smaller. Scale it again. Yes. Then scale it only on the z-axis. And I do think this is the right shape for the chimney, if I may say so. Yes. Okay. Then we're going to select the chimney and name it that way. Chimney, by double clicking on the name to change that. And on the house, we will also double click and write house, so that we know that this is actually the house, instead of just seeing 2 times cube. So select the chimney, go to edit mode, zoom that a little bit in, pan it until it's in the middle, select the face selection mode, and select the top face. Now we're going to inset by either clicking Inset Faces or pressing the Y on the keyboard. We're going to inset this chimney. There you have it. And we click the inside face. Now we're going to extrude, but downward on the z-axis. And you should have something like this. This is our chimney. And I want you to select one edge by going to Edge Selection, one edge, then press Alt and the other edge. And this will select basically all 4 edges when you press Alt at the same time. This is handy because now we can move all 4 edges at the same time. We're going to create a little bit of a shape in it that at least it looks like a chimney. And you know what? Let's just do the same thing. Select the outer edge, then press Alt and select the other edge so that it selects all 4 edges. And I think we might just use a bevel over here, like this. Let's just choose not much, a few segments. Yeah, this will be okay. Okay, now we have something that looks like a chimney. Let's just add a door, to this house, to this house. So I'm going to object mode, and I always, when you add something, go to object mode. It's much more easier, because if you do it in edit mode, it considers both objects as the same object. Then you have to separate it, go back to object mode to separate, and that's no good. So I'm going to insert a plane. I'm going to rotate it on the y-axis at 90 degrees, so we have the right angle. And then we're just going to scale it, I guess, on the x-axis, for example. Oh no, on the y, of course. Then scale it on the z-axis, like this. Scale it on the y, on the y, on the y, again. And I do think, if I may say so, this is the right size for a door. Let's just take a look. Let's just scale back a little, make it a little bit bigger. Yes, should be okay. Like this. Let's just go to top view, and now let's just, yes. So if you have centered the door like I did, we can now sort of extrude this a little bit. Oh yes, we are still in, let me just Control Z. Let's just go into edit mode, and let's press extrude, and just extrude it a little bit, maybe inwardly. Yeah, so outwardly. Then I can actually select in object mode and push it inside. No. Yes, let's just leave it this way. So extrude it a little bit, so you have this indentation. You can, of course, we could have created an inset on this particular face when we go, when we select actually the face. You couldn't have done it this way, and I believe, but I'm not going to do it because I already see 17 minutes and I have to end this video. So before I end this video, I'm going to show you. So for this though, just extrude it and make it protrude a little bit by positioning it outwardly, and this creates sort of the shape of a door. I'm going to quickly show you how to change the colors, and this is called applying materials or shading. So I'm going to select, for example, I'm going to the face selection mode, and oh yes, I'm still, yes, okay, I'm still actually in edit mode for the door. You see, that's why I really hate the difference between object and edit mode, because then we have to go back. Now we have to go back to object mode, select. This is not good from Blender. Should have been one on the same menu. But who am I to complain? Okay, so when you press this red globe where it says material properties on the right side, you have a bunch of icons over here. You click on this red globe at the bottom. Then you have basically your material. And what I'm going to do, you know what, let's just delete it. So when you press the red globe, you have this over here. You click on plus and new. Then you have, when you scroll down, you have the name of the material. When you scroll down, you basically have the color of your material. When you click on it, you can change the color. And to best view this, you go into the second viewport where it says material preview. When you click on it, you can already see what has been colored. And let's just choose a bit of a dark blue, like this, for the door, to make it clearly visible. Let's just select Oh yes, the house. So we have to go into object mode. Then I'm going to select house. As you can see, go back to edit mode. And I'm going to first dissolve these edges. How do I do this? I'm going to edge mode and I'm going to select it and dissolve this edge over here. We don't need this anymore. Like this. I'm going to the X-ray mode and dissolve this edge as well from the floor. Then I'm going to back to the solid mode, and over here let's just click on the rendered materials mode, window or whatever, and select basically the faces we want to color. So I'm going to select this one and this one over here. I'm going to create a new material. So I click on new, and we want this to have a reddish, like tiles or something, color. And I'm going to assign. And this gives basically a rooftop, as you can see. But don't forget to click on assign, otherwise it won't be applied on that. Let's go back into object mode and select the chimney, because I forgot to color the chimney. I always forgot to color the chimney. And add a new material by clicking on new. Let's just add a color, a darkish, I think. Yes, we can sort of. Let's just leave it at that. So kind of darkish. Yes. And click on. Yes, here I don't have to click on the sign because I'm in object mode. So let's go back to the house and edit mode, because here we want to select different faces for the color. So let's click on either faces and side faces and click on shift. And now you can basically add a new material. And how should we color this? Well, not too much different from well, it really doesn't matter, you know. It really doesn't matter. But let's just select something which is not too different. So it really doesn't matter what color you choose, just choose a color of your liking. For this face, I think, just don't forget each time to click to create a new material. This is important. Yes, I think this is going to be good. There you have it. I created a house with a door, with a simple chimney. And we did it by learning the absolute basic functions of extrude for the chimney, inset, again for the chimney, also extrude a little bit for the door. We used grab on the loop cut that we inserted. So basically I used a little bit of everything to show you how you can use these functions in a basic way. Of course, there's more advanced things you can do in Blender. In fact, people that have more than a decade of experience can create things which are absolutely photorealistic, but we have to learn the basics first. Thank you for watching this video. Now you know how to make a simple house and give it a little bit of color. Oh yes, just one more thing. How to render your project. So when you create something, of course this is not rendered, you go to the camera icon, then you click on view, and you can bring this menu by pressing N for those who like shortcuts on your keyboard, or do it simply with the icon, with the camera icon, to go back and forth between camera mode and simply edit mode. So we are now in camera mode, and I'm going to press N and then go to view, and click over here, which is basically, I think, camera to view. This is important because if you don't do this, you cannot do what I'm doing now, which is basically here in this rectangle represents your camera, and it's going to determine which area is going to be rendered. This is very important, but also in which angle you want it to be rendered. So let's just choose this as a render reference. Like this, yes. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to render, which is basically creating the image itself. And when you press basically the last viewport icon, it shows you a little bit how it's going to look like. And you can of course change the lighting and such, but this is going to be for another tutorial. What I'm going to do now is press over here where it says render properties. I'm going to click it once, then I'm going to scroll all the way to the top, and I'm going to switch from Eevee to cycles, because cycles is the one used to render, but it takes a lot of compute power. That's why when you are creating your object, make sure you're in Eevee mode always. Only click on cycles when you're about to render your project. Go back. Before I do so, I change from CPU to GPU, because the GPU is faster for this kind of task than your CPU, even if you have a powerful CPU. Then I'm going to the render mode or render menu, and I'm going to change from because the maximum is on 4096. This is way too much. You only need 100 or so for a simple project. I leave it always at 100. And more samples means better image, but better image quality, but it's going to take a longer time to finish the rendering. But do click the denoise. You definitely want to click this to have a smooth picture. And I think we can now start to render this image by simply clicking on render and render image. And now you can render sort of render image 21, 25, 29, 33 until it reaches 100. You can imagine if I let that 4000, it would take for ages to finish rendering. Now of course I'm using screen capture, so it takes a little bit more time than usual because it has to do many tasks at once, recording all this and rendering the image at the same time. And I only have a GTX 1650 Ti, the laptop version. And let me tell you, that's not the best GPU for this kind of work. But there you have it. We have our house, we have rendered it. This is your final product. So thanks for watching this tutorial. And others will follow, of course, because we can do a lot more with Blender. But I'm myself an absolute beginner, and I wanted to show what I already learned on Blender. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I guess we see each other next time. Bye bye, everyone.